We're here in the Card Players studio with Jack McClelland for another segment of Card Players Ask Jack. Now, this letter came in from one of our viewers. He was at the final table of a tournament in a local casino. The blinds were 3,000, 6,000, and he only had 5,000 chips left. So it came around to his big blind, and he was all in. Now, the player under the gun limped, and the next player, player X, moved all in for 20,000. The limper folded, and the dealer pushed the side pot towards player X. Now, player X began to rake in the chips in the side pot, and the dealer mucked his cards. The main pot was still in play, and the gentleman who wrote in said that he thought he deserved the main pot since the player X no longer had cards. He was the only player left with cards. The floor came over and eventually said that they could either chop the main pot or he could wait and review the tapes, which could take hours to decide who the main pot belongs to. They agreed to chop the main pot, but the gentleman feels that he did deserve it since he was the only player with cards. What do you think?
Well, he actually did deserve it, but the reason he deserved it is player X never showed his cards. What good would the videotape do if you don't see anybody's cards? I mean, it would have been worthless. I mean, so the player that was all in for the 5,000, he's got his cards. If he's got deuce tray, or
he has the best hands.
Yeah, because the other guy might have had deuce tray also. I mean.
So why do you think the tournament director made that decision? It almost sounded as if he was confrontational, like you can chop the pot or you can wait hours while I look at the tapes. It doesn't sound like.
Well, at that point, just to be ornery, I would have said, well, let's wait hours. Stop the tournament. Let's wait hours.
Yeah.
He was either not sure of his decision, or he was a little bit lazy, or maybe the player that mucked the hand, was a friend of his, or didn't want to give the dealer trouble, whatever.
Would it ever make sense to chop a pot in a situation like that?
It's possible in some spots, but you'd have to. That's why when we have an all-in situation, we always turn the hands up. Because now, later on, if you have a situation like this, you can determine who had the best hand and who was entitled to what. So when the limper folded his hand, player X should have turned his hand face up at that time. The all-in player should have turned his hand face up, and then see what happens.
So if player X is claiming that the dealer grabbed his hand and mucked it, would that still make the same result? He should have been protecting his hands?
He should have, and the hand should have been turned up. The dealer should have never mucked the hand because you had an all-in situation, so the hand should have been turned up.
So if you were called over in this situation, you would give the big blind the entire main pot?
I would give the guy that was 5,000. Yeah. He'd get the center pot. Yes.
Great. Thanks so much for clearing that up for us, Jack.
You're welcome.
Lizzie Harrison with Jack McClelland for Card Player TV.